again, everyone. Michael here with Felicity, November 8033 Fox, a Cessna flight training device that I built at home. It is Tuesday, the 6th of June, 2023. I hope you're doing well, wherever you may be around the world. We are going to take a evening and work on a couple airports for X-Plane 12. We were flying around the Austin, Texas area with the Virtual USA Flying Club this past Sunday and came across a couple of airfields. Well, one wasn't even there and the other one does need some work to get it up to par with X-Plane. So that's going to be our focus for this evening. We're going to completely develop the one and modify the other one, and we'll go ahead and test them both out. Hopefully I've got the streaming software set up correctly to show the process with the world editor. It should be working, but let me go ahead and switch over to that. And we'll pull that up and we'll just kind of take everything from the top. So, without further ado, let me share my my main display here, and we'll go from there. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is open the world editor, and this is where we do all the magic for the X-Plane airports. This is how everything is, all the airports are developed and added into X-Plane. World editor can be downloaded for free from the xplane.com website. The airport we're going to be starting and building from scratch is Britts Crosswind. Now, Britts Crosswind is... Okay, let me find Austin. Okay. This is Austin, Texas. We flew up to Georgetown Executive. Okay, there's Britts Crosswind. Okay, so it's about 10 miles west-northwest of Georgetown Executive. So for us to be able to find it, we're going to use Georgetown Executive as a landmark, and I'll explain what I mean. First thing I'm going to need to do is create a new scenery package. This airport is brand new, it's nowhere in X-Plane. So we need to create a new scenery package. And what I like to do is I like to title my scenery with the FAA identifier followed by the name of the airport, which in this case the FAA identifier for Britts Crosswind is... we can do this one of two ways. We'll just do it like this. Okay. Let's see. I'm looking for Britts Crosswind, which is 91 Tango Echo. Okay, here's what we can find out about Britts Crosswind. Has a field elevation of 998 feet and an east-west and a north-south runway. What we need to do is, let's see, okay, there it is, 91 Tango Echo. That's our FAA identifier. So that's what I'm going to entitle my scenery package as, 91 Tango Echo. going to follow that up with the name Britts Crosswind. And then I'm going to open this scenery package. So this is brand new. Okay, nothing here. It's completely blank. What I need to do is find Britts Crosswind. So in order for us to do that, since we kind of have to just find it, I'm going to zoom all the way out. Okay. I know that Texas is right around the west side of the Gulf of Mexico. I'm going to go up here to my view menu, and then I'm going to click on toggle nav aids. Now what that's going to do is that's going to populate every airport and navigational aid around the area there. And if I go over here to my for-flight map, which you can't see currently, I can kind of tell that Austin, let's say Austin is a class Charlie. So this must be it right here. Okay, there's Austin. That's our big landmark. So let's refine this a little bit. If we go, looks like almost due north, we're going to find Georgetown Airport. So there's Executive Tower. If we go further north, we have Georgetown Municipal, Golf Tango uniform. That's our more narrow landmark. So from there, we needed to go about 10 miles west northwest to find Britts Crosswind. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball that. What do we have here? Is this 3? Okay, what do we have here? So these in pink are already airports and helipads, so we know that's not it. Alright, here's a freeway. I'm going to use this freeway as a landmark. And what you can't see is that I'm looking at my iPad right now and kind of looking around. Okay, so 91 Tango Echo is east of a north-south road, and then just west of this. Okay, alright, there it is right there. North-south road, another road that we're using as a landmark. So this is it. This is Britts Crosswind Airport. This is the very beginning of our brand new airport. And the very first thing that I do is we're going to go up here to airport. Well, kind of need to do this. Everyone kind of needs to do this as the very first thing. We're going to go up here to airport, and we're going to create an airport. And it's going to populate an unknown entity in the box on the right. And this is where we're going to name our airport, which is Britts Crosswind. Now, when you're doing airports for X-Plane, you don't want to include any sort of municipal or regional words. Well, you need to kind of abbreviate them, RGNL or MUNI, but you never want to include the word airport or airfield in the name of your X-Plane airport. That's a gateway rule. I'm not sure what the reasoning behind it is, but we're not to use airport or airfield in the name. Okay. We've created our airport name. Now this is very important. Since this is a very brand new airport that wasn't in X-Plane, I had to request a new airport ID number, and that was actually approved today. So what we'll need to do is go into the X-Plane Scenery Gateway and find our new airport ID. Now, I'll explain something. The X-Plane airport ID is not to be confused with any sort of FAA identifier, local code, ICAO code. It's simply an identifier for X-Plane to place that airport. Now, in the early days of X-Plane, things all matched. A lot of things matched up, especially with your bigger airports. Your ID number inside X-Plane was also happened to coincide with the actual ICAO airport ID. But as more and more airports were being added, new IDs needed to be generated that could not necessarily correspond with any sort of other identifier. So what I'm going to do is, since we got the email that it was approved, so I'm going to jump right over to our X-Plane Scenery Gateway. I'll log in, and we will grab the new identifier that we need, which, if we go over here to bug reports, okay, new airport code request, so that was closed. Okay, I'm going to click on here. Alright, so we need to search for our new airport that was just added to the X-Plane Scenery Gateway database. Now, there's no other information other than the name of the airport right now, and I'll get to more about that in a minute. So the only way I can find my new airport ID is to go down here, add a search criteria, and we're just going to type the word Britts and click search. There it is, Britts Crosswind. There's no recommended scenery. It's a very brand new airport in the Gateway database. So we'll go in here. Let's confirm the location, make sure that was good. Yep, so they got that right. So our identifier in X-Plane, this is what X-Plane, this is how the airport's going to be identified in X-Plane. One way. Okay, so I'm going to copy this identifier, and I'm immediately going to go down here and put it in the airport ID box in the bottom right. So the very first thing I'm going to do. So that way when I upload this to the Scenery Gateway, it's going to go directly to that airport. You need to make sure that your airport ID is correct. If not, it's going to get kicked back by moderation saying that it's the wrong airport. Now, I'm going to go back up here, and I'm going to add as much metadata to the airport as I can possibly find. I know I'm going to be able to find the city. I know I'm going to be able to find the country. I know I'm going to be able to find latitude and longitude. And everything that I'm putting in here is going to help identify this airport within X-Plane for searching. I'll go down here, we'll add the FAA code because we know that. We need a graphical user interface label. That's always going to be 3D. What else can we add? There's no ICAO, there's no local authority. There's a state, so we can add that. I think that's about as much information as I'm going to be able to find for Britts Crosswind. We have our airport ID in here, the city and locality. Let's go here to... Actually, let's just do it here. Bug reports. Anytime you request a new airport identifier for X-Plane, you have to prove that the airport actually exists. So we're just going to use airnav.com, which is what I used. Okay, Liberty Hill, Texas. Liberty Hill is a city, Texas is the state, USA is the country. So we'll hop back over here to WED. We're going to do Liberty Hill. The country is USA. And the state is going to be Texas, TX. GUI label is going to be 3D. We're building a 3D airport. If it was only a runway, and that's it, nothing else, you could get away with 2D. But anytime there's going to be an object or a building, in this case we're going to place a hangar in a house in a windsock, then it has to have that 3D GUI label. The FAA code is 91 Tango Echo. That's the FAA identifier. 91 Tango Echo. And we'll put that in here, 91 Tango Echo, for the FAA code. And then the last two things I want to put in are the datum latitude and the datum longitude. And there's many resources that we can get those from. But since we've got this pulled up here, we're at 30.72 latitude and minus 97.86 longitude. So we'll go back to WED and we will put that right in. And that was 3072 north. Now, for WED, when you're dealing with longitude, if it's west, you're going to be using a negative number. East would be a positive number. So west, we're going to put negative 97.86. Okay, so that is as much metadata as I can find. What else? Yeah, we don't have anything else we can use. If you're using an FAA code, you cannot use a local code. I mean, I suppose the region code would probably be K5, but since I don't know for certain, we're going to leave that blank. But I'm pretty sure it's K5. Okay, there's our metadata. That's the important stuff. Next thing I'm going to do is create myself a boundary. Now the airport, there's a difference with the way things are done between X-Plane 11 and X-Plane 12. X-Plane 12 uses OSM data, so it doesn't really require a whole lot of stuff being done outside of the airport environment. Like in X-Plane 11, you know, we'd probably have to add, you know, these trees down here on and towards the west, and maybe over here. but the OSM data should have that stuff in there. So when we draw our boundary, our airport boundary, we need to draw this as tight as possible. We're not going to have any extraness in there. We don't want any extraness in there. We want taxiways, we want runways, buildings, things of that sort. So for this airport here, I am going to start my boundary. Yeah, I can see, I can imagine this is a whole separate area. Alright, so we've got our boundary button selected here. And I'm just going to start right here. And I'm going to come down to here. And we can change this and modify it once we draw it. Here. And then I'm going to come... Let's see. We'll do it right about there. We need more than that. We'll go over to... Okay, there's the end of the runway. Alright, how should I boundary this? Okay, there's the road coming in. Alright, so let's do it like this. Delete this previous point. Delete that previous point. We'll come over here. Then we'll come... So that's the road, looks like it's coming into the airport. Down there. Down there. And then we'll come down here. That might actually be a fence, which we'll find out. And again, we can change this boundary if we need to. Okay, so let's go here. Bring that down. Here. Then up here. And then probably we'll go, let's see, that might be, alright, we might have to tighten this up. Right now I just want to get a boundary drawn. So this could tentatively be our airport boundary, and we might widen this up. But that's the first thing that we do here, or I do, is draw my boundary, because I know that everything has to be inside of this boundary. So I can always click on my boundary on the right, and that'll highlight it in orange. So I can just see if I have any stragglers that are outside of the boundary. Okay. If we zoom in, we can see that we kind of have a turnaround area here. So that's going to actually be a taxiway. Same over here, it's going to be a taxiway. This will be a taxiway. And if we go down here, there's another taxiway. And then there's another turnaround taxiway. Alright. Well, I wish I could, but you can't really draw water, M. Stein, on this for WED. Now, you know, on my end, I could, you know, update that OSM data and recook an ortho tile and then place that pond there, but it's not something that I can necessarily do for the scenery gateway. Okay, Before I go too much farther, I want to see if we can find some better ground level imagery. So what I want to do is I'm going to pull up Google Earth. Now I cannot draw runway. Legally, we can't draw anything using Google Earth. However, I can use Google Earth as a visual reference to kind of see where things might be. So I've got Google Earth pulled over. I did a search for Britts Crosswind and actually found it. Okay. I don't think we'll get a street level view. But what I can kind of make out here is most certainly a hangar. Okay. Looks like there may be a concrete pad there. There's going to be a light pole just south of that hangar right there. And that looks like a barn of sorts. So I'll tell you, this is probably an ag strip for crop dusting. And then we most certainly can see that this is definitely a windsock here. So we know that's where we're going to place our windsock. And I'm just going to kind of look around here. Not sure what this thing might be, but I don't actually see a perimeter fence, and that's alright. What do we have over here? Looks like some hay bales. That might be a fencing of some sort, so we're not really going to be able to model that. Alright, so there's a fence there. Okay, so there is somewhat of a perimeter fence. It looks like post and wire. And it goes over that way. So there may actually be a whole perimeter fence. Bing maps. Alright, there's another good resource we can use. Let's check that out. And we'll go over here. Aerial. Too far. Yep. Okay. So there's a concrete pad there. There's a bit clearer picture. Okay. I will be right back. Give me just a second. Okay, apologize about that. Alright, so there's a concrete pad. It's kind of a unique shape. Not quite a cross. so we can definitely see the light. Okay, it's good enough for now. Let's see what we can do here. Let's minimize that and minimize that. I want to place a windsock right here. I don't want to put it on the shadow. I want to put it right on the windsock. And I'm going to check this box, and that's going to light my windsock. So at nighttime it's going to be lit. Do I know if it's lit in reality at night? I have no idea. Most likely probably not. But I do want to light that one for X-plane. And I can see my shadow here, so I know that there's a light right there. So for gateway airports, we can only use the laminar library objects, which is what I have selected there. And I'm just going to do a search for light. And I've been kind of doing this a while enough to kind of know what to search for, but let's see. I think I want like a residential light, actually. Lights, airport lights, industrial lights. Let's see, street lights. That's kind of what I want. Residential light. Residential light. So we got a straight one, a curved one. There's a fancy one. Let's see, can we tell from the shadow if it's... So it almost looks like it's straight up and down, looking at shadows being cast. Yes, it looks like a straight up and down lamppost. So let's try and find something that may be straight. Hey, how about that? Residential light. That looks good right there. Straight up and down. It's going to be kind of hard to see, but it's right there. And then as we do this, and I probably should say something, we can go up here to View, 3D Preview Window, and okay. And then what we'll do is we will show map area in preview window. And then what this will do is this will kind of move us to our area. So there's our windsock, and back over here is our light. And remember, that's the only things that we have so far. We have the windsock and we have our light. Let's go ahead and make us a concrete pad, and we will put some parking areas there. So that's going to actually be a taxiway. So we'll go up here to the taxiway button. So we got our pointer, then we have the taxiway. And we'll go here and we're gonna select, it's gonna be hard to say, Bing Maps. Let's see what it looks like. Doesn't look very deteriorated. It looks like a relatively new pad actually. So we're just gonna use standard concrete, a light color concrete, but we're gonna use light dirty concrete. Worn concrete would be would have some cracks in it. We're just going to use a concrete light in color that's dirty. Then there's a standard coloration and there's a darker coloration. Concrete, light, and dirty, and then I'm going to do my best to kind of outline this concrete pad with the weird angles that it has going on. And remember, we can always change this stuff. Okay. compare that to that. I mean, it's close. It's not going to be perfect. Remember, we're looking for a representation. It's not going to be exact. Alright. We're going to come back to this concrete pad. I want to place the hanger. Then I'll work the concrete pad around the hanger area. So let's find us a hanger, and I'm just going to search for the word hanger. And we can probably use one of these smaller ones. Beige. It's just an 11 by 10. Okay, so that's a bit too small. We got 25 by 20, which might work out better. I think I like this one a bit better. You know, the other option is we could actually do our own custom hanger facade as well. Okay. So there's Google or Bing Maps. Let me look at Google again. Okay. So from what I can tell, from what I can tell, looks like there might be a lean-to carport area on this side and another lean-to, because I don't think this is fully enclosed. I think this is just a roof with some support fixtures, and the hanger itself being fully enclosed. It's kind of what it looks like to me. I'm not going to go through and model it like that. We could. I'm not going to go through and model it like that. Simply because I highly doubt there's going to be very many people flying into this little airport in X-plane. So for our representation, I think we're just going to use this 20 by 25 hanger. Yeah, I don't like that. Alright, we'll do it like this. We're going to make a facade. We're going to do beige with a white roof. And I'm going to start it here, here, and then we'll go here, here, and here. That gives me the basic hanger footprint. And if we go to our preview window, right now it doesn't look very, it's just hanger doors, hanger doors. Yeah, see, we don't want hanger doors on all four sides. So this is where our pick walls attribute will come into play. And I also don't like the fact that those are beige doors. And it's kind of a trade-off. What did I do here? I lost my airport. There it is. We can have a beige hanger with, let's see, beige hanger doors, or we can have a beige hanger with white hanger doors. So let's do that one instead. Okay, so we'll delete this, and we're going to use beige number 2 facade. I'm going to select my corners. Actually, I'll do it like this. We're going to start here. Remember, your facade is, the elevation point of your facade is always going to be the first point that you draw your facade at. So I like to start my first point at the middle of the hanger, or whatever facade I'm drawing. But since I want hanger doors across the front, I I don't want to start my facade across the front because that one node there will interrupt the flow of my hangar doors. So I'm going to start my facade at the back of the hangar. I'm going to come over here. We'll just kind of click there. Then I'm going to click right there. And again here. What I'm doing is I'm putting 2 nodes across the hangar door in front. And then I'm going to continue to trace. And that's essentially our shape. But if we hit Control Q, that's going to square it up. It's going to make all of our lines and angles 90 degrees. And I want to rotate that just a little bit. So I'm going to go up to my marquee tool, select that. It's going to select my facade. I'm going to hit the Alt key, and that's going to allow me to rotate this facade. Right about there is where I want it. Now if we go back to our preview, alright, what do we have here? Okay, so we have hangar doors all around this whole facade, and that's not what we want. And just to kind of demonstrate what I was talking about, that first node, okay, this is our first node, so it's interrupted the flow of these hangar doors, and that's not what I wanted on the front. But we also don't want hangar doors all the way around, so we're gonna go back to our pointer button. We're gonna make sure our facade is selected. We're gonna make sure that pick walls is checked. And this is the tedious part, but node by node you have to go through and assign an attribute. So I want that to be a solid wall. I want the back to be a solid wall. I want the right side to be a solid wall. I want this front area to be a solid wall. I want this next one's already hangar doors, so we can leave that like that. And then I'm going to solid wall all the rest of these nodes. And we'll check that preview again. Okay, so there's our hangar. We'll leave it like that. I think that'll be decent enough. It's giving me a good overall VFR footprint because it's encompassing that whole hangar area. You know, we're not doing the lean-tos or anything like that. We made the whole thing a hangar. We gave it some hangar doors. And then what I'm going to do is come back up here to my concrete pad now, and I can kind of see how it's working in relationship with the hangar. So I want to bring this down into the hangar because I can almost guarantee that concrete pad is up against the hangar there. Didn't mean to do that. And then I'm just going to kind of eyeball these angles and just kind of straighten them up a little bit. Then I'll go one step further and I'm going to adjust my texture heading to sort of match the heading of the hangar. So right now all of your texture headings are going to default to a north-south heading. So in order to get my concrete lines, my saw lines to line up with, you know, the hangar, I want to clock that maybe 10 degrees to the left. So let's try a heading of 350. And it might be a bit too much. So let's try 355. That looks a bit better. I think I can work with that. And what I'm looking for is my concrete lines, the lines that are solid in your concrete, to just kind of line up more evenly with the hangar. It gives it an overall better appearance. Now it's obviously it's not required whatsoever, but I'm kind of picky about things like that. So we have our hangar and our taxiway. Let's go here and see how we're looking. I think that looks alright. Our taxiway is kind of right in the middle of our hangar doors, so once we open them, we can taxi right on out. I'm not quite sure what these darker objects are here on the left. I don't know if that's equipment. There's definitely not a vegetation or anything, so I'm not gonna even attempt to try and model any of that. I can't identify. I don't know what it is. It may move, so we'll just leave that as it is. Let's draw this taxiway. Actually, before we do that, let's add in our parking. These are our ramp starts. And we'll just place one there. Oh, that's entirely way too big, which is what it defaults to. This is a class size E ramp start. That's nowhere near what we want. Okay, we want to select that, and we want to go and make this a type A, which is your single props, your turbo props, and this green outline kind of gives you the shape of, or the size of, the current parking. So we want size A. Equipment type, this airstrip can probably handle props and turbo props. It's definitely not going to take any jets, heavy jets, fighter jets. So that's your size, and size is important. If for example, if I had this parking spot on my concrete taxiway here, okay, if it was a size E or F, that'd be kicked back by moderation right away. It's just it will overtake everything that's there. So we're going to maintain that as a size A, and we'll put this parking spot right here. And then I'm going to duplicate this by hitting Control-Shift-D, and then I'm going to move this one right here. So these are going to be our two ramp starts. It's the only ramp starts I'm going to put at this field. I don't think it's going to need any more than just those two ramp starts. And I'm just going to call them GA Parking 1 and GA Parking 2. We've got two ramp starts, we've got a taxiway, and we've got a hangar. Let's continue drawing our taxiway. Now we know everything else here is going to be grass. We can confirm that. Let's see, runway. Okay, so it's got turf. 1634 and 09er and 27. Let's go ahead and draw our runways, and then we'll draw our taxiways. So we'll go up here to the runway button. Surface is going to be grass. Not going to have any shoulder. Roughness, this is how bumpy your runway is going to be. Being a grass runway, I'm going to give it a roughness of about 0.35. Most asphalt and concrete runways have a roughness of about 0.25. Not going to have any edge lights, not going to have any distance lights. There's no markings. Not going to have any approach lights, not going to have any end lights. Okay, so I think we're ready to draw our runway now. And we will go down here to about here. Looks to be about the start of it. And we'll bring this up and we'll terminate it right here. It's a pretty wide runway, so we need to modify this. Runway 16 and 34, which is what that one is. I'm going to give it a new name because it populated 15 and 33. So this is going to be 16 and 34. The runway width, according to the information we're looking at, is 70 feet and it's 3,200 feet long. So we'll narrow this to 70 feet. And the length, let's see what 3,200 does. We may have to shorten that down. Okay, so 3,200 gives us a length all the way down to the taxiways. But that's alright, because I can work with that. And what I do is I draw runways based on the actual what I see. 70 feet. We can even kind of see how that runway kind of turns. So that one's not entirely straight. And we cannot necessarily curve a runway in X-plane. So we may have to kind of compromise just a little bit. Okay. But I am going to narrow this runway to maybe, it's published at 70 feet, but 70 feet was just too wide. It was wider than what I see for the actual runway. So we're going to make it 50 feet. And we're going to leave it right there because, again, we can't really curve that runway. Then what I'll do now, see, even that's a bit wide. That looks a bit better. So how's it looking at the other end? Okay. Yeah, it definitely has some curve to it, doesn't it? Let's see if we can, if we move it directly over the middle. Yeah, that kind of messes up our ends there. So yeah, we're gonna have to compromise. And we'll do so by putting the thresholds where they need to be. And I suppose we can even, I guess if we widen it, actually, it takes away some of that angle, or some of that waviness, I guess. Alright, so we'll leave it at 60 feet, and let's draw our taxiways. And again, these are going to be grass taxiways. So I'm going to select my taxiway button up here. I'm going to make it grass. And then taxiways kind of have to overlap the runways just a little bit. So I'll make my point right here, right here. We'll put a point here. Put one there, and one there, and then one there, and then finish this off. Okay. With the pointer button, I'll select my taxiway, and now I can actually shape it how I want it by holding the Alt key. You hold the Alt key, you can drag your nodes to kind of help shape your taxiway. And that's close enough. And we go down here, we make sure that we're not outside of our airport boundary. And we're good there. But what's going on here? I see this north-south texture heading again, which is kind of not in line with our runway. So I'll click on my runway, and it has a heading of 159. The texture does. So I'm going to make that same texture here. Put a texture heading of 159, and then there. Our runway is going to kind of run right into our taxiway, and that's kind of what we want, because that's kind of how it is here at this airport. There's no definite break between the runway and the taxiway, so I want it to all kind of mesh together. And we're going to do the same thing at this end. We're going to put a node and put a node. I'm going to have to widen this taxiway just a little bit. So we'll put a point there, put a point there, a point there, point there. And then bring it down. Oh, I went the wrong way. Okay. Bring it there. Bring it there. Bring it there. Another point. And probably one more there and one more there. Same kind of deal here. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm going to hit my Alt key. It's going to allow me to kind of curve my bezier here, my taxiway. And then I'm just going to kind of round it off. If you accidentally cross your nodes, it will void your taxiway. See how my node is overlapped there? My lines are overlapped. Okay. So this is kind of what I want, something, you know, kind of something like that. Yeah. And we can make this go away. I mean, that doesn't look terrible. I can probably bring this one in just a little bit and bring it down like that. That looks a bit better. Same deal. Heading of 143. Oh, wasn't it? What was it? 159. So there's our runway, our grass runway with our taxiways. That are right in line with our runway. Again, it's not going to be perfect because we cannot curve this runway. And even this one here has a bit of a curve too. So we'll have to work with that a little bit. But I think this one will work for runway 1634. We've got a turnaround run-up area here. Got a turnaround run-up area down here. Let's do our next one. I hadn't changed anything up here, so I can still draw my runway, and it's going to have the same attributes. This one is runway 09er and 27, which is 2,600 feet long by 50 feet wide. And same deal, I'm going to start a point there and double click down here at the end. We cannot curve the runway. We're going to make it 50 feet wide. And let's make sure it's got the right number, 09er and 27. That one does. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to draw some taxiway turnaround areas down here at the end. And since I haven't changed any attributes, it's still going to remain on grass. Give it a roughness of 0.35, which I forgot to do on the other one, so let me go do that. Let's see. Roughness 0.35, and then roughness 0.35. Then, okay. Let's draw our taxiway on the west side of 09er. Roughness 0.35. Okay. So we're gonna click here. I'm gonna make another node there, and then probably one there, and one probably right about there. And we'll shape this one the same way. We'll highlight our taxiway. We'll hit press and hold the Alt key. And we're going to click on our node and just drag it until we get it to the shape that we want. And there's no right or wrong with how you make your taxiways and how you shape them. WED has a bunch of different shortcuts and keys to make everything perfect and circular. Let's see, if I want to do like Control Shift Q, that would more or less make everything, what's the word I'm looking for? Even, I guess. I don't know how else to describe it, but it sort of shapes everything into a uniform shape, I guess, for lack of a better way to describe it. But it's not a perfect taxiway. I'm looking at this taxiway here. It's not a perfect circle. I don't need to make my taxiway a perfect circle. I just want to make it a taxiway. But I do want to make sure that the heading lines up with the runway heading, so we're going to give this a heading of 9.6. Because again, I just want to roll off the runway and roll right into the taxiway. I don't want to have a what's the word I'm looking for? A very distinct break between the taxiway and the runway. I want it to kind of flow smoothly. And then last one down here, grass roughness is 3.5. And then we'll make a point here, one point here, one there, one there, one there, one there. And same deal. Press and hold Alt and shape your taxiway. Now you'll know if you go the wrong way because it crosses your lines. You can really only drag a node one way. I think that looks good right about there. And the heading was 9.6. Alright, we have our runways. We'll see how that looks. We'll go over here to our preview, and we can kind of drag this around. So here we have our runways. Our taxiways. We're starting to get somewhere. And as we zoom out, you can kind of see what we have here. Alright, runways and end taxiways are done. Let's draw our taxiway to get to the runway. And that's also going to be a grass taxiway. But I want to join this with the concrete taxiway. So we'll go down here and I'll show you how we're going to do this. First, we're going to draw the taxiway. We're not going to connect our dots yet. So I just want to get I had to zoom in to make sure I didn't click on our dots. But we're just going to kind of go there and then go there. That's what we're doing. We're drawing our taxiway up. Up on the top left, you'll see a box that says Snap to Vertices. You want to make sure that box is checked when you're joining taxiways. You don't have to, but I recommend that you join your taxiways. If you ever notice, sometimes you'll see a little bit of flashing when you're transitioning from one taxiway to another, or there may be a gap between there. But by snapping to vertices, I can select this one node on my one taxiway and drag it right into the other one, and it's going to connect the dots. Rob Valkyrie, hello, welcome on in. So, and that's what I did. Is I connected the dots. So if you connect that dot there, and we go over here, we connect this node to this node. So now both of these taxiways are technically going to be drawn as one taxiway in X-plane because I just connected those nodes. So there's going to be no distinct break in between the concrete pad and our new grass taxiway, which on a taxiway this long, I'm perfectly okay with our textures not lining up. In fact, I want to give this a 90-degree offset from this runway. So I actually want to give this taxiway a heading of 6 degrees, and then we will be perpendicular with our runway. Let's go back to our preview and see how that looks going up to our hangar. I think that'll work. Okay, what else? What else we got? Got our taxiway, got our runways, got our windsock. This is a barn, which Laminar does not give us much options for a barn or even any sort of farm type things. Yeah, but that's definitely a barn. Let's see what we can find that might be able to kind of somewhat match up with that. Yeah, we're probably not going to find anything that'll work good. Let's do a search for maybe a ranch. There's a house. Let's see. Let's just try this. Library. Street. No. Buildings. Facades. Commercial. G10. U.S. Sometimes you just have to kind of scroll down to see. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna find anything. Got a wooden shed there. A greenhouse. A garage. Several ranch style homes. Some trailers. Yeah, we're not going to find a barn. There's plenty of barns in the JB library, but this airport is for X-plane, so we cannot necessarily use JB library objects for the scenery gateway. So what can I do for this? Okay, so it looks like there might be some garage doors there. M. Stein, that is a good question, and yes, there are new objects that come out with each release of X-Plane because World Editor is generally updated every time X-Plane is updated. So Laminar does add new objects in on occasion. Still want to know what that is. Where are we at? Bing Maps. Oh, sorry. I'm zooming in too fast. Okay, so it's not there in this image. Okay. Are those roads gravel? Most likely. Yeah, I want to find something to put there. Alright, let's search for a garage. It's too small. Too small. Way too big. Way too big. Well, phooey. I guess we're just gonna have to compromise. Let's put a house there. Let's find us a house. Small ranch gray. How's that gonna work? Let's take a look at our preview. Yeah, I don't know if I like that one. There's a bigger one. ELW 124. We are using a world editor for X-Plane to develop an airport for X-Plane 12. So the app. That's kind of what my thought process was, Emma Stein. So the app is actually a world editor. Yeah, so that's kind of what we'll do. We'll compromise with that one. Yeah, that'll be all right. All right, where's our boundary again? Okay. So we do have some vegetation here that we can draw. And we do have some fence that we can draw. So right now I'm going through and modifying my boundary to just outside of that fence. Because remember, everything needs kept inside of the airport boundary. Okay. Let's find this. Sorry, didn't mean to make everyone deaf. Let's find us some fencing. We have a couple different options for fencing. And I'm just kind of looking for, let's see, I don't think it's a metal fence. It's probably a wooden fence. Most of these are all privacy fences, though. I want something that's more like a picket style. That's white. I don't know if I want white. Fence metal. Hey, this could work. This one right here. That's kind of a picket style. Let's try that one. We can always change the fencing without drawing the whole fence again, just by changing the resource. We'll get to more of that in just a minute. But it looks like, alright, I'll just start my fence right there. It's going to come down to this point here. It's going to come down to this point here. I'll come over here. Then I'll come up here. Then it goes over to, looks like right about there. Now it's going to come up. And then over to here. And then up here. And it actually looks like it terminates right about there. And I don't see any other perimeter fencing. There's Google Earth. Let's check this again. Yeah, I don't see it. See fencing, fencing, fencing. Yeah, so it stops like right there. Go back to our preview though. We can preview that fence. So there it is. It's like it looks like it encompasses a lot of the airport. Not the whole thing. Alright, fences drawn. What else? Let's put some vegetation in. Oh, there's another light. There's another lamppost. Forgot about that one. There's another light right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to my first light that I placed. And then I'm just going to hit Control Shift D to duplicate that one. I'm going to move it right down here. Okay, so we got 2 lights in there. Okay, let's add some vegetation, some trees. And what we'll do is we'll go down to vegetation, trees, coniferous, deciduous, or evergreen, or palm. Well, I know they're not palm trees in Texas. Evergreen, I would imagine those are going to be more in north. So we can go very tall trees. Spruce trees. What do we have for deciduous? There we go. Oak trees. Those actually might be oak trees down that way. So let's make these over here. These are going to be medium maple trees. Let's just make these medium maple trees. Okay. And then let's make these here tall oak trees. I think the rest we'll just do as points. The difference between the area fill mode, linear fill mode, and points is the following. If I want to just add trees in a specific spot, like right here, first let's select the tree that I want. We're going to go small maple trees. If I go to points mode, I can select each spot that I want to put a tree. Okay. Oh. There we go. And same deal down here if I wanted to, which I probably should. Let's make these medium. 1, 2, 3 points. So these are going to be medium maple trees here. And then linear, I want a shrub. I want something small for right here. These are where our linear is going to come into play. I'm going to go 1, 2. Hold on. Messed up. Points. Okay. Okay, so for linear, you need at least 3 nodes. 1, 2, 3. And that's going to be linear. So right here is going to be a line of small shrubs. Oh. Alright, how are we looking now? Let's check our preview. The preview window does not actually show your vegetation. It just kind of shows the outline of where it might be. There's our line of shrubs. Okay. I think we've got enough to do an initial load into X-Plane. And let me get these trees here. And then we'll make these medium maple trees. And then, let's see. We'll just do these in points. 1, 2, 3. If at all possible, try not to cross your lines. When you're drawing your tree points. Alright, but I think that'll be enough for us to get started. You always want to make sure that all of your airport components are going to be below your airport name. If they're under the world, that means they're on top of the airport and it's out of the airport environment. So everything you do for your airport needs to be inside of your or underneath your airport environment on the right there. One last thing I want to do real quick is see if there's any sort of Unicom frequency for Britts Crosswind. Doesn't even appear so. No comments in ForeFlight. So I'm not even gonna put an ATC frequency in here. Wow. Yeah, because I don't know what the ATC, what the Unicom frequency is. It's not published, so I cannot assume that it's gonna be 122.8. Downwind Sim, hello my friend, welcome. We are working on a private airstrip near north of Austin, Texas. Working on one for the Scenery Gateway and X-Plane. Hope you're doing well. M. Stein, this airport was in ForeFlight. It is charted on the sectional. Let's see here. Let me go back here, and we'll go here. Yep, so it was charted on the sectional. It is 91 Tango Echo. And I don't see a CTAF frequency listed here, so I'm not going to put one in for X-Plane. But yeah, I'm sure it does look familiar to familiar to you, Downwind Sim. Um, watching his tutorials and stuff taught me a lot about what we're doing this evening. So check out his channel, check out his YouTube channel. Very, very informative. Alright, so let's get back to where we were. So yeah, Britts Crosswind is charted. And that is how I found it Sunday when we were flying around down there with the Virtual USA Flying Club. After the event was over, I checked out a couple of these smaller airports, and this one just wasn't in here. But since it was charted, we're adding it into X-Plane. I greatly appreciate that, DWS. I know you've certainly answered a plethora of them before, so I greatly appreciate that continued knowledge set. Alright, so where were we at here? Okay. Do I want to draw the roads? I don't know. Because unfortunately we don't have much for gravel as far as a polygon goes. We have gravel taxiways, but this isn't a taxiway, this is a road. So I can't really use, let's see, library. Oh, let's see here, lines, markings, street. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna find any sort of polygon that would do what I want. Let's see, ground. So we have pavement. Terrain. What do we have for terrain? There's a soil polygon. I don't think that's what I want. Desert white sand. Yeah. I'll just make it I guess I could make it concrete. There's a light there, there's a light there, there's a light there, there's a light. Okay. I guess I missed those lights there. So let's add our street lights in real quick, and then we'll draw our road using concrete, using a light colored concrete. There's our light. Control Shift D. We're going to duplicate that and move it right over here. Control Shift D. We'll duplicate that and move it right over here. And then again, duplicate that. We'll move it right there. We'll duplicate that and move it right there. As long as we're inside of our boundary, we'll be alright. And let's just double check our boundary here. Okay, so we're this far. I want to go ahead and save this project, and I want to validate it right now to make sure I don't have any current errors before we go any further. Warning facade height. Okay. So we'll make this facade height 0. And we'll make sure that it didn't flatten our facade. Nope, we're still good there. So let's check our validation again. Alright, no problems were found. What did I... Okay, I knew it's field elevation. That's what I forgot. 998 feet. Okay, get the barn in there, get our lights. Let's draw our road. I'm gonna consult Google Earth again real quick. Yeah, that's definitely gravel. There does appear to be a concrete pad in front of the barn there. Let's jump over to Bing Maps and check this. Okay, so there's concrete there. And someone that might actually be one of those newfangled style barn houses. Um, so let's draw a concrete pad, and then we'll draw our roads. Okay, let's go over here to concrete. We're just going to do a search for concrete. We're going to go over here to concrete dark, concrete light, concrete special. Interesting, okay. Terrain. It's WED 2.5. There's a lot more stuff in it that I'm still haven't even come across yet. Barn dominium. That's exactly right. That's a good word for that. I want to use new concrete for this pad. So that's what we will do. And we'll draw this. Steve099, global airports won't necessarily show. The only airports that will show are going to be the ones that are in your custom scenery folder, most likely. Now you can import the whole global airports. It's very, very large. I don't know why anyone would want to do that unless they're looking for airports that have a too large of a boundary or whatnot. But you could do that, but they won't necessarily show in there unless they're in your custom scenery folder. Oh, there it is there. That's right, global airports for 12 is actually in custom scenery now. You can import a specific airport, and in fact, yeah, you would do that just by going to File. I always recommend you import it from the airport scenery gateway as opposed to importing it directly from your global airports. X-Plane's also going to recommend that you import from the airport scenery gateway, but it is possible. In fact, I'll show you exactly how to do that because there's another project that that we'll be doing. So let me save this one. I'm going to minimize this, and since I have to do this anyway, we'll take a break from this one, and then I'm going to create a new scenery package, and I'm going to call this one 30 Tango Alpha. Stand by. That's not working either. Oh. What did I do here? Where is... Okay. 30 Tango Alpha. And this is Tri-Modal Air Park. This is another one I came across down in Texas that needed some work. So since I have to do it anyway, I'll go ahead and show you how to import this airport. And all I did is I created a new scenery package because this is the one I'm going to be working on. And I like to name my airports with the identifier followed by the actual airport name. So we'll open this brand new scenery package that's going to have absolutely nothing in it. nothing over here on the right, but it's going to pick us back up where we just were working at. So we have our blank canvas. We're going to go to File, Import from Airport Scenery Gateway. It's going to download all the most recent airports from the gateway, and we will search for our airport either by the airport ID. This is where that metadata comes into play. You know, the more metadata that's in there, the more easier you can find your airport. But I'm just going to search for Tri-Modal Airpark, and there's no recommended scenery. Let's see. Okay, there's one right there. So yeah, and that's kind of what I thought. The Wedbot did this one, which is why it was nowhere near where it needed to be. So you just select the, you can select the most recent recommended one. And just import it like that. And as you can kind of see, there's a building there, but you can see that this runway is nowhere near lined up with where it needs to be. So that's how you import an airport. And while I'm here, I'm just going to delete this windsock. Delete this windsock. Move this runway. And then I'm just going to save this real quick and we'll get back to where we were. So that's how you import an airport. So I'm going to save this project, and this will be for another day. Then I'm going to open back up my Britts Crosswind 91 Tango Echo. Alright, so that's how you would import an airport into WED. I think we're ready to test this thing. So I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to export. Let's see, target X-plane version, airport scenery gateway. So I'm going to export this to scenery with gateway scenery heuristics. So as long as I can do this, it means that it's gateway legal. Export that. So now I need to get this airport that I just exported from this computer to the flight simulator computer. So we'll minimize that. And I'm gonna come over here to my file explorer. I'll go to my custom scenery for X-Plane 12 on this computer. I'll find my recent Britts Crosswind. I'm going to copy this. Then I'm going to paste this into a network directory that I have linked up here. And I'm going to put this in my X-Plane 12 custom scenery, external custom scenery folder. So the way I do my scenery is I keep all of my scenery outside of X-Plane, and I use symbolic links to link it into X-Plane. And I keep airports that are X-Plane 11 and 12 compliant in a separate directory. Then I keep X-Plane 12 airports as well, because X-Plane 12 airports are not backwards compatible with X-Plane 11, but 11 airports can work with 12. So I'm going to paste this into my X-Plane 12 custom scenery directory that's outside of X-Plane. So that's there. Now I do need to take a quick break for about 5 minutes, and I will be right back with you all. Gotta go flip the trailer around. So I'm gonna do that for a couple minutes, and I will be right back. And we'll get this airport loaded up into X-Plane and do a couple in the pattern. Make sure that that we don't have any thing that we need to exclude. That reminds me, I do need to do this real quick. Because I use Sim Heaven, and because we actually landed here on Sunday, I do know of at least one exclusion zone that we're going to need to put in. So let's do that real quick. Let me bring this back up here. Okay. So I know that there was a building here that was being populated by Sim Heaven. So let's just go ahead and exclude that right now. So we drew an exclusion zone. We're going to exclude objects, facades, and road networks. Drag our exclusion zone below our airport. And then eventually I'll clean all of this stuff up. I'm going to put it into groups and folders. But as small as this airport is, I can do that after the fact. So let's go ahead and save this again. We're going to re-export this, and then once more I need to copy this and then paste it into my custom scenery. Replace those files. Okay, now I need to take a couple minute break, and I will be right back, and thank you all for sticking around for just a few minutes. See you in a minute. Alright, I'm doing a thank you all for sticking around for just a moment there. We've got our airport copied into our directory. So I think we're ready to head over to the simulator. It's going to look a little bit weird when I switch it over because right now it's just on the desktop. So let's head over there. We'll activate the scenery in X-Plane. And yeah, so let's head over to the plane that's not really a plane right now, but it's still our plane. Alright, see you over there. Alright, so this is Felicity, sort of cold and dark. Well, not really cold right now or dark, but you know what I mean. Okay, we've got our folder copied into our custom scenery directory for X-Plane 12, which is on this computer. Well, it's on both of them. Well, it's on all three of them, actually. So we go into our X-Plane 12 custom scenery folder that is outside of X-Plane. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, well, I'll explain it. It may not apply to you. I use a program, Windows program called Link Shell Extension. And what I do is I right click and I pick my link source. And then I go into my actual X-Plane 12 custom scenery folder, and then I drop this as a symbolic link. Okay. So the symbolic link will essentially link to the external folder. That's how I do all my scenery. And to be honest, the reason I do it like that is should something happen to X-Plane, whatever the case may be, all of the scenery that I worked on and all of the custom scenery from the great folks like Downwind Sim and the Bush League and any other airport that I might have added in here, none of that gets affected. It stays in its own outside of X-Plane directory. And then I just have to drop the links back in if I have to, reinstall X-Plane, whatever the case may be. So we dropped our symbolic link. Now I'm going to open up X-Organizer, which is another program that may or may not necessarily apply to you, but after you get so many hundreds of airports, it really does start to help out. So I will open up X-Organizer, and it's going to tell me that there's a new airport. Once it goes through and scans the custom scenery folder. Okay. New airport. Yep, Britts Crosswind looks good. Subfolder USA, Texas. That looks good. No libraries are missing. I should hope not, because it's all default laminar objects and libraries. Okay. And then what I need to do is I've got a whole separate profile. I use two profiles on X-Organizer. One profile is for my everyday flying. The other profile is for scenery development. Now when I develop scenery for X-Plane, I always test that against default X-Plane mesh. So we're going to switch over to default X-Plane 12. The other thing you want to do when you're testing airports for X-Plane is to make sure that you don't have any other airports around. So global airports, you want to disable your global airports. And you essentially want to make sure everything is disabled because you don't want something to possibly interfere with your airport. Where we're testing out, I highly doubt that would happen. But with
disable the global airports, and the only thing we're going to enable is our Texas airport. Which was Britts Crosswind. And that's it. So we'll close that, and then we'll open up X-Plane. And we will load in at our new airport and see what we have. Okay, there it is, Britts Crosswind. As you can see, since we've disabled, well, you may not be able to see, but since we've disabled our global airports, it's the first one that popped up, Britts Crosswind. Everything else is aircraft carriers, special starts. Britts Crosswind, we've got GA Parking 1, GA Parking 2. And start the flight. And we'll see how everything looks, see what we might need to change and or correct and or exclude. The other important thing to note is that when you are developing and testing airports for the X-Plane Scenery Gateway, you want to make sure that your World Objects slider is set to maximum. You want to see as many objects as possible to know what you might need to exclude. If you are down one notch, you may not see a tree. Yeah. So we've got some exclusions to do, considering that our GA parking is right here in this bush. Yeah. So I'm gonna hit C to ascend out, and let's see what we have here. Yeah. So there's a lot that I'm gonna have to exclude. We can see our runway, another runway, our taxiway there. Yeah, there's a lot here that we need to exclude. Mostly forests. I don't see any road networks. There's our windsock. Alright. Okay. I'm going to leave this up and running because now that we're loaded in, the only thing we'll have to do is reload the scenery. So let's head back to the FBO. We'll make these exclusion zones. We'll recopy it over, and we'll hop back in here, reload the scenery, and see what we have. Okay? I'll see you back there.
All right. We're gonna have to exclude. Now here's the thing with exclusion zones. You don't really want to. You don't want to do this. Okay, and exclude, everything. You want smaller exclusion zones for the gateway. So like right here, even that's. Unfortunately, exclusion zones are only north, south, east, west, and you can only make them to a square. It'd be nice if you could just trace, what you want to exclude, but it doesn't quite work like that. So what I generally do is I will make myself an exclusion zone. Something like that. And then we're gonna just, for now, we'll just exclude the forests. And then I'm just gonna keep duplicating this exclusion zone. And just kind of move it around. And that's all I'm doing is I'm Control Shift D'ing and I'm duplicating. Yeah, we don't want to make a million exclusion zones, and Downwind Sim makes an excellent point. Because each node is something that the computer has to process. And the more nodes that you have, the heavier it is on the CPU. So like in reality, I should probably delete this one, make this one just a little bit larger. Because the thing is, in Julian, the gateway moderator is very picky about a lot of this stuff. And once you don't want a whole lot of exclusion outside of your airport environment either. So yep, that is correct. Each exclusion has to load and process. So let's just start this over. There's a lot of overlap there that I don't like. So we'll just try this one here. Exclude forests. And we'll duplicate that down to here. I think this will probably work a bit better. Then we'll duplicate this one over to here. And then we'll duplicate this one. Down to there. And we'll make one more. Alright, that might get us by. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 exclusion zones for forests. Let's drag that below our airport. Let's save this. Export it. I think this will work out a lot better. Just the 5 exclusion zones there. And then we'll recopy this back from this computer directory to our flight simulator computer scenery directory. Overwrite those files. Alright, let's head back to the airplane and we'll reload the scenery and we will see what it looks like. I'll see you over there.
Then all I'm doing is I just went up to the developer menu and I clicked on reload scenery, and that will reload the scenery with my new exclusion zones. And as you can see, we now have a forest-free, or relatively forest-free airfield. I think I want to draw the road. I didn't draw the road, but I think I want to draw the road. There's our fence. Our runway, there's our taxiway. Okay, our windsock should be around here somewhere. Okay, there's our windsock. Let's go down here, check this taxiway. That looks good. So these are our point trees. Remember those points we were talking about? So these are points. Okay. This is a linear tree line for our shrubs. Then over here we have an area fill. Then over here we have a points fill. Okay. So I think we're successfully excluded. I don't see any road networks that are interfering. No beaches or anything like that. Have our street light. I got our fence. Alright. Let's turn the lights off. Oh. Okay, I need to turn those center lights off for the runway. Okay. So we need to kill those runway center lights, kill the other runway center lights. It doesn't have them. But our street lights seem to be there. One street light, another street light. Our windsock is lit. Okay. Alright, back to the FBO for a couple more edits. I'll see you over there.
Alright. I need to go up here and find my runways. 09027 centerline lights, I want to uncheck that. And 1634 centerline lights, I want to uncheck that. It doesn't have them. What else did I want to do? I wanted to draw that road. Okay. So let's do that real quick. Let's find ourselves a concrete texture. We're going to make this one a, see, let's make this worn out concrete. And then I'm just going to start it. Now let me draw my concrete pad first, which is going to be new. We'll just put this right here. Control Q, we'll square it up. bit larger. And let's fix our texture heading again. Remember, I like to keep my texture headings kind of parallel or even with whatever it is they're facing. I don't like this north to south. So let's bring this to maybe 300. No, too far. Let's try a 330. Getting there. 332. 331. Alright, I don't think I'm going to get much better than that. There's our concrete pad, and now let's draw our roads. And I'm going to do it in 2 sets. I'm going to draw this one first, and then we'll draw this one. Actually, we'll draw this one since we're already kind of right here. I'm going to go find my dirty concrete polygon. And we'll just start this. Right. Actually, I'm going to add a node here. I'm going to add a node here. That'll give me something to connect my road to. When I join polygons, I like to join them node to node. Okay. So let's create our road. So we'll put a point there. And maybe, let's see, one there. There's a bend, and then there's another bend. And then there's a bend here, and then a point there. And this looks to be about a pretty straight shot. Then we'll go right here. And we're gonna shape this, you know, as we move along. We'll shape our road here. And then it looks like it's gonna run up here. And it's gonna come down to here. We'll join our nodes here in a little bit. We'll connect those. Okay, there's kind of our road. Now we need to shape it and conform it a little bit more to the shape of the actual, you know, road here. Okay, so first thing I'm gonna do is hold my Alt key. That lets me adjust my Bezier curves here. So we'll kind of round that out, or round this one out, or round this one out. Then up here, I'm going to go up and then I'm going to select my node and I'm going to join it to this other node. And that's just all that does is that joins my polygons together so that there's not a break in there. We go down here, we can kind of add a curve in. And then kind of same over here. Starting to get a little bit narrow there, so I'm going to just add another node and then I'll drag that down. There, it kind of covers that a little bit. We'll shape that. this one needs to be about there. And then bring that up, bring that down. Okay, so that's kind of our pseudo gravel road, but not really gravel, but gravel. We don't have a gravel option for non-taxiway purposes. We'll connect that to polygon, to this polygon. And then, alright, this is our runway has a heading, a texture heading of 159. Let's subtract 90 from that, and let's make our road a heading of 69. And we can pop over to our preview. We can kind of see our road here now. And the only reason I'm drawing the road is because when we were just there in the default textures, it had to be broken up with something. So there's one half of our road. Now we just got to do this other section over here. We'll save it again and re-export and see how it looks. We'll grab our polygon tool again. We're making sure we're on the same concrete, dirty.poly, because we don't want to have two different textures. Okay, and that's pretty much a straight. This one will be a bit easier because it's pretty much a straight shot. I'm going to have to come in and add a gate here now. I'll go right about there. And we're going to make this the same heading of 69 degrees. And we'll just kind of shape our road. Which I think I can probably work with that. But what I'm going to have to do is remove a couple of fence nodes and then re-add them in. So let's see. Is that what we had? Fence metal 02? I think so. Fence metal 02 dot facade. Okay. What I need to do is I need to put a break in our fence for our road. Then we'll start it again. Okay. I'm not gonna worry about putting a gate in there. But what we can do now is we can just kind of extend this down a little bit. Remember, we don't want anything outside of our airport boundary. Let's check our preview again. See how that looks. Alright, let's try that.
Alright. We'll go over here and reload our scenery. Okay, and there's our road. Let's go to the beginning down here. We may have to widen our exclusion zones just a little bit. There's a little bit of a road network there. That's what I need to do. World object density, I need to set that up to maximum. I forgot to do that. So yeah, when you're testing airports for the gateway, like I said earlier that I forgot to do, but I said I was going to do it, set world objects to maximum. Because if you don't do that, you know, it could populate something that you don't necessarily see if you're on medium or low. Okay, well, looks like our road is good. Got a concrete pad there, leading up to our hangar. And I suppose we could put a service door there. I mean, there's a road going to it. Alright. Back and forth, back and forth. See you back at the FBO. one more time. Let's reload the scenery and see how we're looking. Then if we're looking good this go around, we'll go ahead and give it a test flight. How about that? We got a nice door right there that our road leads into. I want to go down here, check out the other end here, make sure we got the rest of those trees excluded. And it would appear so. We've got our fence here. Alright. I think we're ready to fly this one. Got some trees, windsock is in place. Yep, I think we're ready to give this one a spin. We'll get things started up. For this flight, we're just going to go. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on pre-flight safety briefing. We're going to go. Yep. Alright, let's try this. Alright. I need to do one more thing, and then we'll be ready to get things started up. I'll be right back. Alright, here we go. We're going to expedite startup here. I've done this enough, I can do that. Master beacon, brakes, throttle slight, prime, 3, make sure it's full rich, beacons on, brakes on, fuel's on both, max to start. Clear prop, looks clear on the left, clear on the right, and clear up front. Here we go. Alright, engine rotation, oil pressure's in the green, taxi light on, nav lights on, avionics on. Let's get our strobes on. Turn our flight controls on. Connect to VATSIM for the heck of it. Heading indicator to compass. Try and grab some local weather.
Kilo, Golf, Tango, Uniform, Airport Information, Delta, 0156, Zulu, Weather, Wind, Calm, Visibility, 10, Sky Condition, 1000, Scattered, Temperature, 25, Dew Point, 22, Altimeter, 2989, Advise on initial contact, you have information, Delta.
So we got a pretty close temperature dew point spread. There's a possibility that it could be clouds in the sky. Field elevation was 985 feet, but we're just below 1,000, so that checks. Okay, parking brake off. Here's our taxiway. Let's keep some weight off the nose, a little back pressure on the elevator here.
Approaching runway 0927.
0927.
Runway 0927.
So we did remove the centerline lights, but there's a weird thing with X-Plane is that it makes the adjustments with the scenery just fine, but any sort of change you make to the runway won't reflect until the next time you actually start X-Plane. What do we have here? Some power lines. Alright, was that the end of my runway? I don't think so. Yep, I'm at the end of my runway. Alright, winds for calm. Let's just go rudder, full power. Yep, that windsock is just hanging there. Airspeed's coming. Alright, let's pop her up. Alright, we're airborne. Strobes are on. Let's flip us around. Steep turn, low to the ground, hang on. Alright, so we're going to fly back over the runway we just took off of. We're going to apply that ground effect. There's definitely an elevation thing going on there. Alright, but that runway is definitely usable. Think we could circle to land on the other one? Probably not. We might have been able to done that. Here's the other one. We're gonna touch this one down. So that runway is also usable. Okay, the only other thing I'm curious about was those power lines. I don't think they were on the airport environment, but we're gonna take back off and go double check. Yep, downwind. I definitely agree. Alright. Power, let's get that nose up. There's our airspeed. Alright, we're flying. I'm gonna climb up a little bit, I'm gonna turn us, and we're gonna fly directly over those power lines. Probably shouldn't do that, but we're gonna do that just to kind of get a visual as to make sure that they're not encroaching our airport environment. Oh, I lost them now. Where'd they go? Where am I at here? Okay. Alright, there's the power lines. There's our power lines right here. Yeah, I think they're way clear of the airport. There's the power lines, there's the airport. So I'm not gonna have to worry about doing anything with those. Alright, let's swing her back around. I think this one will be alright. I'm just a little concerned about those power lines at the 27 departure end, but it's off the airport environment, so nothing I can really do about it. And I imagine that climb over them, yeah. There should be plenty of runway to climb over them. Sock. Yeah, I think this airport will be just fine. And then obviously once it's approved and a new cut is made, you know, the airport boundary, and it won't look exactly like this because this mesh terrain will actually become the airport environment, and the grass will be there. It's not going to be like this default texture that we see. You'll actually see that boundary that we drew. That's it'll be the grass area. Yeah, there's definitely an elevation hump here. So the runway kind of goes up and then comes down from both ends. There's kind of a peak in the middle. Alright, soft field, don't stop. Just want to make sure that we can clear those power lines. Rudder. Airspeed. We're up. So even if we climb out at PY, will we clear them? Yeah, I'll be alright. Okay, I think that'll work. So pop out, make sure I don't want to do anything else. How are we looking over here? Got a hangar there. I think I want to put a man door. Yeah, let's put a man door on the back side of this thing. Alright, see you back in the FBL. Alright. So let's go ahead and reload our scenery. Welcome raiders, welcome to the channel. Appreciate you coming in. And thank you for the follow, Andrew Friable Logic 51. Okay, how do we do here? Let's make sure that our changes reflected. Right, there's our man door. There's the windows to our hangar. Okay, so this is the important thing I was talking to you about that first node of the facade and elevation. Kind of see here, this is a very mild example, but you see how the ground's kind of sloping up, okay? If I had started drawing this facade at, let's say, this corner right here. Red Warhawk 96, good evening. Hope you're doing well. If I had placed my first facade point at this point right here, and then I drew it around, okay, this would be the lowest point of the facade. Remember, your first point is always where your facade elevation is. So if I had started it there, okay, went around, we'd have gotten back here to this low spot, okay, and it would provide the appearance that the facade was kind of floating. And so it's a bit more even pronounced right here. If we kind of see this as a whole. You know, if you look at your base over here on the left side, I don't know if that'll be very good. Our foundation over here is maybe about a foot tall. If we go over here, our foundation, you barely see any of the foundation. So by starting it in the middle, it kind of averages, it averages the facade height based on, around how you draw it. So always start your facades in the middle of the building. That's my recommendation. If you want floating buildings, you can start them wherever you want. You could even, if you knew the lowest point, the lowest elevation point of the building you're drawing, I would recommend you start it there. But, being able to accurately determine the lowest elevation point possibly be a lot of trial and error. So just, in experience, I've just learned to start drawing my facade, right in the middle of the building, and then you kind of average your elevation. Right, so we've got our propane tank there. Let's see if our trailer popped up. Yep, there it is over there. There's our single wide trailer. Here's our maple trees. Okay, let's fly this one. See how this does. Where are we at? We're at this end here. Okay. Are we on the runway? There's the windsock. Okay, there's the runway. Alright. Flaps 10. Full power. Brakes all. lots of rudder. Alright, let's fly this in ground effect. Get some of that airspeed. Clear these power lines. Alright, clear obstacle, let's level off. Wait for that airspeed. Pull the flaps out. Kinda scary doing a steep turn this low to the ground, not gonna lie. Alright, so how are we looking? I think I can work with, think I can live with this one. We've got our trailer now, we've got our hangars looking pretty good. For what it is, anyway. We've got our street lights. We've got our road drawn. How's our road looking? I think our road will be alright. Crosses the runway. Continues on. Watch out for that tree. Alright, let's go set her back down. There's the hangar, so the intersecting runway should be right up here.
Approaching runway 0927.
Okay.
To runway 0927.
Left here, and then our taxiway. Is right here. Alright, I think that's good. Let's hop back out. Actually, let's go back to the FBO, hop back into WED, make sure we're not missing anything, finalize anything, and then we'll go ahead and submit this one to the Scenery Gateway. Parking brake on, we'll lean back out. Let's head back to the office.
Hello? Testing? Alright. Oh man. Testing. Alright, so it seems my camera stopped working here. Give me just a second. Alright, there it is. Hopefully we should be good. Hopefully everyone can hear me. Yeah, I'm not sure why that happened. That was weird. Okay, so was there any last minute things that we wanted to add to our airport here? These are hay bales. I can't really model those currently. Let's see, what else can we find? I mean, that's definitely a fenced area, but since I can't model those hay bales, I'm not even gonna model that. Try to model that little section there. I'm not quite sure what this object is here, but I don't see it in our ESRI imagery. Maybe it is right there, but I'm not sure what that is. Let's check Bing. That's what we're on. It's not really right there. Alright, well, we're not gonna, whatever that is, I don't know. We're not gonna worry about it. I think we've got a decent viable airport that we can submit. Nothing I can really do about putting the water in at the end of the runway. Yeah, I think we'll be good to go. Let's see, runways, double check that. Okay. Alright, so let's go ahead and head back to the plane. What I want to do now that I know it's decent for default X-plane, we're gonna we're going to exit X-plane and switch back over to ortho and see how the airport looks with our ortho photos and sim heaven. If there's no anomalies with sim heaven requiring some additional exclusion zones or adding attributes to our current exclusion zones, we'll go ahead and submit this airport to the scenery gateway. Okay, so let's head back to the plane. We're going to exit X-plane and restart things and see how it looks with our ortho. I'll see you back over there.
Alright, let's go ahead and shut things down for now. Flaps up, avionics off. Make sure to lean, max off, and mastered off. Okay. Close that for now. Let's open up X Organizer. And we will get out of scenery testing mode, go back into what I call normal X-plane, which is not normal. And we need to enable our new airport in this profile. And we'll close that. And we will relaunch X-Plane and see how our airport looks with ortho. New flight. Takes a minute to load when we're using ortho. But I wanted to take a moment to say thanks to everyone that's come in and hung out this evening. We're about ready to bring things to a close, as long as this thing looks good with Sim Heaven and ortho. We will submit this to the gateway. Alright, so I'm going to ascend here. So here's our ortho. Well, it definitely looks a lot better with ortho. But remember, our caveat was the real runways are kind of curved, and we kind of had to make, we can only make them straight. So there's a little bit of, I don't want to call it artifacting, but you can, from head on, you can kind of see where the runway doesn't overlap and where it does. Yeah. But I think we'll be good. There's our windsock. Our road doesn't look too terrible. Sort of follows the road. Yep, I think that'll work just fine. Let's turn the lights out and make sure that we don't have any what's the word I'm looking for? Any unwanted lighting. So we'll advance the time to dark. Okay, so we got rid of our runway center line lights. We should have a windsock light right there, so that's working. Then we've got our street lights. just fine. Debating if I want to put a light on the front of the hangar. Nah, it'll be alright. Yeah, I'll be alright. I don't need a light on the front of the hangar. Yeah, I think that's it. I think we'll be good. Okay, let's go ahead and submit this one. Well, I think I kind of do want to put a light in front of the hangar. Alright, last thing. We'll head back there, we'll put a light on, we'll reload, see how it looks, and then we'll submit. I'll see you back there.
Alright. Let's find us a light. I'm just going to do a search for light. And the one I like to use for hangars is this overhead flood small dot object. Then what I can do is I'll place it here. I'll kind of line it up. Then I'll move it to where I'm just seeing the hood of the light poking through the edge of my facade. Then I'll do Control-Shift-D and duplicate that. Move it to the other side of the door, and again, I'm going to put the hood just outside of my facade. We'll check our preview. And then if we look here, it looks like we've got flush mounted it looks like we've got flush mounted hanger lights. So if we can kind of get a profile view here. Alright, I think I like that. Alright, let's save this again. Export it. Oh, dang it. Alright, so we're just going to move these right down into objects. And then last time we need to override our airport again. And then we'll head back to the plane. We'll reload the scenery one more time. We'll see how it looks. And then we'll go ahead and submit it. I'll see you back at the plane. When interfacing with hardware, is it important to sync the controls with the software, or is that automatic? I'm not sure I understand the nature of that question, Downwind Sim. You talking about my physical cockpit hardware? Um, we'll catch back up in the plane.
Alright, in my case, for my cockpit hardware, the flight controls, all the primary flight controls, I don't do anything with primary flight controls inside of X-Plane. That's all handled through Virtual Fly. They have their own hardware hub. So Virtual Fly, the hub, is kind of like the gateway between my physical hardware and X-Plane. Virtual Fly handles the communication between the compass, the TPM, the yokes, and the rudder pedals. It handles all that. It transmits all that to X-Plane externally. So my X-Plane, as far as yoke, rudder pedals, there's no assignments or anything inside of X-Plane. In fact, flap switch, carb heat, alternate static, and the switch panel, those are the only things interface with X-Plane. The gauge panel, the gauge panel, all of the switches, those all interface with X-Plane. Well, the gauge panel is Air Manager, but almost everything control-wise is handled externally and just kind of funneled into X-Plane. The only thing I really had to program in X-Plane is a parking brake, the switch panel with all the light switches and the ignition, a fuel select panel, rudder trim, and cowl flaps. My elevator trim is handled externally, and radios and GPS is all done with the plug-in, so I didn't have to program each individual switch. The real sim gear plugin handles this. The prop wash sim plugin handles all of that. So as far as actual X-Plane control settings, there's really not a whole lot I had to do inside of X-Plane itself. Alright, let's reload this scenery. You're quite welcome, Downwind, anytime. Okay. So now, if we pop out, we can see that we have lights mounted right on the front of our hangar building. And that'll just kind of help light the apron up at night. So let's turn the lights out, see how that looks. Yeah, I think I like that a lot better. Then it just kind of helps light up the parking in the apron. Alright, I think we're good. I think we're ready to submit this one. Yep, I think I'm happy with this one. Other than the curvature of the runways, everything lines up pretty decently. I wanted the thresholds where they were, and the runway curvature. I mean, it is what it is, but I was more important with the runway thresholds being accurate. Not that there's any sort of specific approach into this airport. Um, but, if I have to, what's the word I'm looking for? Compromise. I would rather use I'd rather keep my thrust holds in line as opposed to trying to make the middle of the runway in line. Okay. Yep, I think we'll be good. Alright, I'm gonna submit this one. In fact, let's just do this now. I'm gonna open up World Editor here. I'm gonna go to 91 Tango Echo. Downwind coming from you, that means a lot. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. Yeah, I don't think it turned out too bad. Okay, so let's see. Need to resize this so I can work with it a little. Okay, let's select our airport. Make sure everything's good. File preferences. I want things in feet. Okay, looks good there. Let's lock our airport. Metadata is good. Put the FAA code in there. Alright. Save this one last time. And now we're gonna export this to the Scenery Gateway. Submit to Airport Scenery Gateway. And username November 8033 Foxtrot. Alright, comments. New airport, injected, boundary, added, assets, reconciling with ESRI imagery. Anything else I want to include? Sometimes I like to include things like if there's any comments about the airport, which is none there. Yeah. So there's not a whole lot of additional information I need to include. I am going to say real world runways have a curvature compromised by ensuring thresholds adhere to real locations. Okay, anything else I want to mention to moderation? I'm going to say Google Earth and Bing Maps assisted with I don't know, visual cause you can't really draw, I can't really say that we drew anything with Google Earth because we really didn't. We can't use Google, we can't use Bing to draw any of the airport stuff. We can use it as a visual reference. That's what the word I was looking for. Assisted with visual references. Alright, I think that'll work. New airport, injected boundary, added assets, reconciling with ESRI imagery. Real-world runways have a curvature compromised by ensuring thresholds adhere to real locations. Google Earth and Bing Maps assisted with visual references. Yep, I think that's good. We don't need to get too carried away with our airport comments. Alright, let's go ahead and upload this one. Could take a minute. Alright. Will be visible to all users on the gateway once a moderator approves it. Okay. Alright. I will throw this one in my scenery project folder on my Discord, in my Discord hangar. So if anybody wants it, it will be there here in a little bit. Well, let's do this now. Now, I may as well do it now while I'm sitting here. Let's go into Explain 12. Britts Crosswind. Let's zip that. And I'm going to open up my Discord hangar. I could always use new people to come in and hang out in the hangar if you feel like it. And that link is if anybody wants to come hang out in the hangar. Oh, M. Stein just dropped that photo in there for me a little bit ago. Outstanding. Yeah, I mean, our hangar doesn't look exactly like that one, but we did alright for what it is. So let's upload this. And let's see. Yep, 10 miles. Britts Crosswind is 10 miles west of Georgetown. And developed X-Plane for X-Plane 12 using default library objects. So that's in the hangar if anybody wants it. Dreammid, hello, my friend. Just getting ready to wrap things up here. We just finished developing a small airport for X-Plane. Hope you've had a good day. Good Tuesday. Yeah. Yeah, looks a lot better with the ortho. Outstanding. Outstanding. I can't wait to fly in your airspace there when you're ready for that. Well, yeah, I know you're starting off at the ground, but I'm sure you'll uh, want to get up there towards at least the tower area. All right. Well, let's head back to the FPL so we can say goodnight, and I'll see you over there.
Alright, well, that is it. I do want to thank everyone for coming in and hanging out while we developed Britts Crosswind for X-Plane 12. It's about 10 miles west of Georgetown, north of Austin, Texas, down there. Two grass runways intersecting east, west, and north and south. Yeah. Did a couple, I don't even want to call them pattern flights. Scud runs around the airport just to make sure both runways were usable and landable. Made sure we had all of our exclusion zones. So yeah, I think it turned out alright. So I do want to thank everyone for coming in and hanging out and doing a little bit of flying with us this evening. Wednesday, Thursday, probably not. You probably won't see me. You might see me Friday or sometime over the weekend. But definitely, if not before then, definitely next Monday. We've got the kids this week, so if I do anything between now and next Monday, it will be impromptu. So, yeah, I do believe that's it. So again, thank you all for coming in. Yes, downwind, I will be at Flight Sim Expo in a couple weeks. Looking forward to it. Should be a good time. Looking forward to meeting a lot of faces I've come to recognize on Twitch. Yeah, it is coming up quick, that's for sure. A couple weeks. Yeah, about 2 weeks out. So until next time, you all take care and stay safe. Take care of each other. Yeah. As always, my pleasure hanging out with you all. I do want to say thank you again to Tabletop Android and Andrew Friable Logic 51, both coming in with a raid this evening, and a new follow from Andrew Friable Logic 51. So, yeah, that's it. Again, it's my pleasure. Let's see who we can send you over to for the rest of your evening. We'll head over and say hi to Bill Forelli, who's flying the Bonanza G36 on VATSIM right now. Yeah. We'll go raid Bill. So you all have a good night, and stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Always a pleasure.